The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was always one of my favourite shows as a kid. It and other shows like Invader Zim and Courage the Cowardly Dog really struck a chord with me and have etched scenes into my brain that I may never be able to forget in the best way possible. So imagine my surprise when I saw that Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy had a fighting game for the Wii. As you could imagine, my mind was racing as I thought, hey, how much is this? $1.99? Alright, yeah, sure, I'll buy it. So after buying it and taking it home, we're gonna play this game right now. Here we go. Stay tuned for a game based on a cartoon for children. Again, I do this a lot. Let's go. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is a fighting game developed by High Voltage Software in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and Wii. Based off the show of the same name, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, or as I'm gonna call it, GAOBAM, set out to make a fun and exciting fighting game which incorporated characters, scenes, and settings from the show, whilst also having a unique story. But did it manage to do all that? Well, let's hop into the story and see how story-like it is. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. At the start of the game, we find out that Grimm's Mojo Balls have been released into the town of Ennsville, causing for people to beef up and beat the living shit out of each other for a laugh. Our main characters Billy, Mandy, Grimm, and Erwin are tasked with the job of stopping that shit and finding out who unleashed Grimm's bollocks. After running through various locations from the show, we find out that it was Billy who let the Mojo Gojo as he wanted to free Mo and Joe. The credits then roll after Mandy asks the developers to beat Billy to a bloody pulp, and during the credits we get to play as Mandy and kill Billy. That credits part was kind of unrelated, I just really like how interactive it was. You can like beat Billy up and use weapons, and like when you hit stuff, like the names go flying everywhere and you can beat up the developers a bit. It's cute, it's pretty cute, I like it. It's really nothing, but it's cute to me. So overall the story is it's not great, but to its credit a majority of the show's cast returns to voice their characters, and they even got Weird Al Yankovic to be the narrator, which is pretty nifty. It's apparent that the story wasn't really supposed to play a big role in this game, and it was more so just there to allow the devs to make some pretty nifty set pieces, and I'm entirely alright with that. I mean, this is a fighting game, so the most important part should be the fighting. So let's hop into the gameplay and see how that is. So in GAOBAM, there's 4 different main gameplay modes that we're going to take a look at. The tutorial, because I'm shit at fighting games and will most definitely need all the help that I can get. The story mode, the versus mode, and the mission mode. In this tutorial, the player takes on the role of Grimm as we get to beat the shit out of 3 children and some scarecrows as we get the hang of the controls. Right off the bat, the fact that the Wii version forces you to swing the controller around to perform heavy and special attacks is kind of a bummer for me, as I'm not really a fan of that. But considering the limited buttons on the Wiimote, it isn't a terrible alternative to not having the attacks at all. Plus, after a few matches, you do get used to wiggling those remotes around, so it isn't that bad. You just look like a bit of a tit. So you have your light attack, heavy attack, you can pick up and throw stuff around or use weapons, and you can collect the Mojo Jojo orbs to power up your special ability, which deals a large amount of damage. Finally, once the player is out of lives, you have to go and hit them to start up this minigame where you have to point the Wiimote at these circles to perform actions. Something about the springy trail that the remote leaves is really satisfying to me, and some of the knockout animations look pretty solid. So it's good, it's a good time, yeah. One of the biggest issues in terms of the combat is the fact that although there's 15 different characters to unlock and play as, they really don't have much variation in terms of combat. They all fight very similarly, which really makes the characters more so skins than individual fighters, and that kind of sucks for a fighting game. Now onto the story mode, where we get to pick a character and compete in Shrek Super Slam / Smash Bros-esque battles in arenas based off areas in the show. Something that's actually really cool about these stages is the fact that they constantly change. For 1 minute you might be in a pumpkin graveyard fighting Mr. Pumpkinhead over here, and then the next you're fighting the same goon whilst running away from a giant pumpkin monster. It makes all the levels feel really fresh and stops them from getting dull in the first batch of playthroughs. Possibly the best part of this game for me is how it makes use of the characters and settings from the show. For example, they have the brain-eating monster as one of the bosses, and it even plays the song from its episode. This song and episode is so embedded into my mind at this point that just seeing this in the game gave me the biggest grin. It's really nice to see, even if it's a no-brainer. I'm here all night, thank you. So after battling an array of characters and checking out some nice scenery, we're met with the final boss, the brain-eating monster, who we have to set fire to or freeze before shooting a bunch with guns and then beat the shit out of. Then there you go. The credits roll and you get to beat up Billy for a while, and once you finish the story mode, you're rewarded with a new skin for the character who you played as and unlock a few new characters who you faced. It's a good time. I like it. Something that I noticed in the story mode was that if you move the Wiimote at all during a cutscene, it would act as a button press and skip it. It might not sound like a big issue, but if you're holding your controller up when the cutscene starts, you're forced to stay still and hold that position for the duration of the scene, which is more irritating than anything else, and makes watching the cutscenes a bit of a chore. But at least they're short. I guess it kind of evens out there, but it's still pretty dumb. I mean, they could have fixed that. They could have evened that out. They could have patched it up, put a nice shiny sticker on it, and sold it as new. Oh yeah, there's also a co-op story mode, but I couldn't get anyone to play a children's cartoon game with me, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm so lonely. The versus mode is basically the exact same thing as the story mode, just with individual matches instead of a predetermined amount. But here you can battle against friends and take part in a couple of extra game modes, like this one where you have to raise flags to earn points, and once the time runs out, the person with the most points wins. Little game mode variants like this really help relieve some of the monotony that starts to settle after playing a handful of matches, as you really don't have any variation with the combat, which is a pretty big shame. Finally, the mission mode gives the player a specific task that needs to be accomplished before the match ends, and if they succeed, the player is rewarded with either a new skin, cinematic, or concept art. While this isn't really anything special, having a goal in the different game modes aside from simply winning them is nice to see, and kept me on my toes when I was playing through them. It was a good time, I like it. And hey, you can't go wrong with being the Grim Reaper and brutally murdering children. Kids game. Overall, this game is really fun, but after a few hours can get pretty repetitive and tedious due to the lack of any major gameplay variety. But the game's still fun nonetheless, and has a pretty solid soundtrack and some great visuals to boot. I mean, look at this. It looks like the show, but in 3D. It all looks really pretty, apart from Mandy's hair. That's, not sure what happened there, but that's pretty odd. That's pretty odd hair. So, if you're like me and really enjoyed the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy when you were younger, and want to feel like a kid again, then give this game a go. It's a good time and you probably won't regret it. And hey, it's fairly cheap and the main story is less than an hour long, so you can easily just pick it up and play it whenever. Plus, you can't go wrong with seeing Fred Fredberger get the living shit kicked out of him. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it with your friends, family, or creepy neighbor, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Just want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters, James, Stewart, Melvin, Joe, Mark, Classy, and Harvey. You're all bloody lovely chaps. If there's anything you liked or didn't like, then be sure to let me know in the comments down below, or tweet me at Snooping Turtle. Also, if you want to watch more videos of me doing dumb stuff, you can check out this video I did for Ratchet & Clank Todd, bloody Todd, or this video I did for Casper and the Ghostly Trio, the spookiest of spooks. That's all from me now. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.